Assalamu alaikum. Real numbers. Objectives. To compare two real numbers. Prerequisites. First of all, if we have AB quantity squared equal the square of the first times square the second. AB quantity squared equal A squared times B squared. Examples. Minus 3 radical 2 quantity squared equal, when we have a minus sign raised to even power, become plus, and the square of 3 times square radical 2. So square 3 squared 9 times radical 2 square gives 2. The result is 18. According to this rule. 7 radical 11 squared. Square the first 7 squared times square the second radical 11 gives 7 squared 49 times square remove this radical times 11 gives 539. Now let's start first comparing two real numbers or two numbers including radicals, m radical n, coefficient m, and radicand n. If we have a positive number, A is a number greater than 0, and B a second number greater than 0. If the square of A is greater than square B, then A greater than B. Examples. If you have A equal radical 3 and B 2 radical 2, these numbers are positive. In order to compare these numbers, first of all, we must make the square of the first and square the second. A squared gives radical 3 squared 3. And B squared gives 2 radical 2 squared. According to the first rule, 2 radical 2 squared, square 2 is 4 times square radical is 2, gives 8. 8 is greater than 3. First of all, A is positive, B is positive, and A squared 3 is less than B squared 8. So according to this property, A will be smaller than B. If we have two negative numbers, A less than 0 and B less than 0, and A squared square the first greater than square the second, B squared, then A will be less than B. If we have A equal minus 2 radical 5 is a negative number, and B equal minus 7 radical 2 is another negative number, according to this rule, I will make a squaring for A, then B. Squaring of A squared equal minus 2 radical 5 squared. This is even power. Minus will become plus. The square of 2 is 4 times the square of radical 5 is 5, gives 20. B squared minus 7 radical 2 squared, minus will be plus according to the even power. 7 squared gives 49 times radical 2 is 2, gives 98. So A is negative, a negative number. B is negative, and the square of A squared is 20 and B squared 98. Then A squared less than B squared. The result will be opposite to this sign. Then A will be greater than B, because we have negative numbers. Here, if we have A positive and B negative, this is a trivial one, because all the numbers, all positive number is greater than negative. A greater than B. Example, if we have A plus 1 and B minus radical 23, A positive plus 1, B negative. So then, without solving, trivial. This is a trivial example. A greater than B. Your turn. You can stop the video here and try to solve these exercises in your copy box. Then turn on the video and try to solve and correct your answers. We have this number A, 2 radical 7, positive 1. B equal 4 radical 3 is another positive number. First of all, in order to compare these numbers, I will square the first. A squared 2 radical 7 squared gives 2 squared 4 times radical 7 squared 7, which with the result is 28. B squared, I will square the second. B squared 4 radical 3 squared equal 4 squared times radical 3 squared. 4 squared gives 16 times radical 3 squared gives 3. The result is 48. According to the previous rules, if we have two positive number and A square less than B square, then A will be less than B, like this sign when we have positive numbers. The second one, we have negative number minus 3 radical 10, A equal minus 3 radical 10, and positive 1, B equal 5 radical 3. This is clear example already. A negative and B positive, sure A will be less than B, because negative number is always less than positive number. The last one, A equal minus 7 radical 6 and B minus 9 radical 5. These numbers are negative numbers. I will make a square for A and B. First step, A squared minus 7 radical 6 squared, because we have even power, minus will become plus, square of 7 49, and we will remove radical 6 gives 6. The result is 294. The second step, squaring B. B squared minus 9, because we have this power is even, the result is a plus. Square 9 is 81 times radical 5 square gives 5, and the result is 405. Here we have negative, numbers. So we have A square less than B square. We have negative numbers. According to the rule, if we have A square less than B square and these numbers are negative, the result will be opposite to this sign. So then A will be, if we A square less than B square and negative, the result will be A is greater than B.